So what's WordPress? First and foremost, it's a blogging tool. So it was created as a way for bloggers or people who wanted to leave posts on the web bloggers, to draft and publish their posts, mostly personal pages. It then transformed also into a content management system, which is kind of a way of building a more complete website with images, video, um, all kinds of components that weren't part of the original blogging tool package. WordPress transformed into a content management system. Because it's morphed from a blogging tool into a content management system, it's really become a publishing platform for people to share all kinds of work and really have it become an A to Z solution for having content on the web. WordPress also powers anywhere from 1/5 to 1/4 of the web. In the academic context, people are using WordPress in a variety of ways. Personal pages, or kind of like about pages where you have information about yourself, your work. Working groups use it as a place to exchange ideas and exchange documents, images, things like this. Many departmental websites use WordPress because it's a way for faculty to be able to gain access to the pages that they need to edit, say their about pages, while there's an administrator controlling the look and feel of the site at a higher level. It's also used to power many course sites. WordPress is being used in a lot of classrooms, a place where professors put their syllabi and also have the platform serve as the main place where students put their work from the class. WordPress also serves as a platform for many digital projects. So these are projects that academics put together as standalone sites about particular research areas. And of course, people use WordPress as academic blogs. So people use WordPress as a way to share their ideas about academia, what it is to be a part of a particular discipline. Many of these blogs are collaborative. One of the important things to note about WordPress is when we're talking about WordPress, we're talking about two different things. There's WordPress.org, which is different from WordPress.com. And so WordPress.org is where you can download WordPress. This button here in the upper right lets you download a folder full of files that is the guts that makes WordPress work. And then you put that folder into either your own web server or a server that you have commercial hosting at. So WordPress.org is its own machine that runs, whereas WordPress.com is a hosted solution. This means that you can create a website and have it open to the web simply by going through their services, which there is a free version where you can use plenty of the important options of WordPress, but also there's also paid solutions for things like custom themes, having your own domain name, things like this. So again, WordPress.com is a free solution with limitations. You can only use the WordPress.com specific themes, so custom themes that are available for the wider WordPress landscape are not available to you. You can install custom plugins. You have a limited amount of storage space. You can have ads on the site if you go for your own domain hosting, and you're not going to have any FTP access. I mean, you can't upload files to the site itself except through the content, the media library that WordPress.com offers you. So why use WordPress? Well, above all, it's a blogging platform, and that means it's designed to share things, but you can control that sharing, meaning you can make a site private, or you can make only certain users of the site see certain things or have access to certain things. So if you're considering using WordPress as a tool, you have to remember that its main function is to share information. So if you're thinking about this in a sense for your research or your own personal online identity or as a course blog, you have to focus on the tool's primary focus, which is sharing. So a lot of people use it for collaborative publishing because you can edit and manage content together with different users in a very easy way with a very intuitive dashboard. But what I'd like to do with this tutorial is to create a course blog. I think a course blog is very useful for students to cut their teeth on design and rhetoric specific to the web as a bonus towards the regular content of the course and sharing their experiences as they move through that content. Additionally, it's a way for you to organize your course. It's often done in content management systems like Blackboard or Moodle. WordPress has most of the functions that you can find on these, though you won't have the institutional stamp of approval, nor will you have things like the institutional logins that come with something like, say, accessing a gradebook. Your first step is going to be to create your website. When you click on this Create Website, it's going to ask you to register with a WordPress.com username. It'll ask you some additional information about hosting solutions. You want to select the free option. Now here in this blog address, you'll put your course name, but it'll always have that .wordpress.com after the address that you select, because they're giving you free space, so they don't want to take away their domain name from that space that they're giving you. So you'll go ahead and register with your email address, username, password, and an initial blog that you want to create. You can create multiple blogs, and then you'll get a confirmation email from WordPress saying that you've created your blog. So again, when you go through this registration process, make sure you're selecting the free options. There are a couple of other prompts, including whether you want your site to be private, but don't worry, you can always change these settings after you've created the blog. Once you've created your site and have logged in to your WordPress account, you'll want to go ahead and make sure you're in the My Sites view. So in the upper left here, you'll click on My Sites, and you'll see just one option, the blog that you've created, to start in your menu. Before we start diving into the blog, it's worth a moment considering what the purpose of the course blog is. In a very generic sense, with this demonstration, I'd like to have the purpose of the course blog be to give information about the course, and here I mean things like syllabus, materials, links to readings, things like this, things that you'd typically insert into your Blackboard or Moodle page. And I'd also like to think of its purpose as generating course content, meaning student work. So this is a place for the course information to live and for the work done in the course to live. So I'm going to quickly create a demonstration page for this tutorial, and I'll call it History 250. And I'm modeling this course off of a course that I've already taught on a WordPress blog called History of the Digital Age. I want my blog to be private, which I can always change, and I want to have the free option. So I create blog. I've now created the blog, so I'm going to go back to my sites, find the blog that I just created, History of the Digital Age, here it is, and I can see that this is a live page for the people that have access to it because it's private. Right now, I only have access to it. Here in the upper left, I can visit the dashboard, which is the main place where you're going to make any changes to the site. So in the upper left, I'll click on Dashboard. Now, once we have this dashboard open, I'd like to distinguish between two of the main items that make up WordPress pages, posts and pages. The difference is that pages you should think of as static information dumps. So this is things like an about page, a syllabus, the course schedule, things that aren't going to change too much, and then it's not important to know when they were published or if you want to have any comments on them. You want them just to be spaces where information is displayed. Posts are far more dynamic. Posts are published content that you can tag, it has dates on it, and you can comment on them. There's actually a lot of similar functionalities between posts and pages if you want to make them that way, but for the purposes of organizing and thinking through these, posts are what you want to have as more interactive and editable by collaborative users on the site, whereas pages are more static places to display information. So let's go ahead and create our first page. And we'll have this be the About page. In the example that I'm creating, this is also doubling as the WordPress page, the syllabus of the WordPress page. So I'll go ahead and just use the About page that already exists. And I've copied and pasted from my other site, but you would generate your own text and description here. But this is what it would look like with some content inside of it. And then I'm going to update the page. Once that page is updated, You can always view that live page, the live version of the page, by clicking on this view page link here. And here we see that the content that I have copied and pasted over from my other site now exists in an about page. And again, this is the default theme that came with this site as it was created. And we see that in the navigation bar up here, we see a link to that about page. So we've created an about page. Let's make our first post. Over here on the left on this dashboard, you'll see posts. If you click on that once, it'll take you to all the posts that exist on the site. Since we don't have any right now, it's blank. So let's go ahead and click on Add New. This will bring us to a new editing view. I'm going to drop some dummy text in here and give this just the title of demo. And you'll see here that there is the normal word processing tools like bolding things, italicizing things, underlining. There is Add Media, which is where we're going to start dropping some images in. So if I click on Add Media, you'll be brought to the media library view of the WordPress site. You can link files from elsewhere on the web if you have the URL. You can also insert YouTube videos and tweets directly into posts. But I want to select an image file from my hard drive, so I will get some dummy content in here from the city of Buenos Aires, and we'll drop an image. It'll upload, and then I can insert that image into the post. But before I do that, I'd like to point that once you've selected the image that you want to insert into the post, you can control things like the alignment, the size, right off the bat. You can also change the titles and any captions that you would like to appear underneath the picture. And you'll see it drop right into your post. I'm happy with this for now, so I'll publish it. And just like in the case with our pages, we can look at what this looks like in a live view. It's actually going to take us here to a live view of the page from the outset. So this is how someone with access to the site would see this first post. There is the image on the site. And here again, we see our about page in the upper left. So we've created a post and a page. Back in our dashboard, I've navigated to the user's view on the left. You can see here that I'm the only one in the page right now, the creator of the page, and my role is that of the administrator. But I can add as many users as I'd like to the page. So since this is a course blog, I'd like to invite one of the course participants into the site. So I'm going to use one of my other email addresses, which is also registered on wordpress.com. And here's where I'd like to explain roles. You see here in this collapsible menu that we have viewer, administrator, editor, author, and contributor. A viewer is someone who just has access to looking at the page. A contributor can enter into the dashboard and create posts and submit them for publication. They can't actually publish anything. An author can publish and upload media to the site. So I would like my students in this class to have the capability of uploading content and publishing as well. If I wanted, the key distinction here between author and editor is that authors can't view other authors' posts, whereas editors can. So this is a way for me to control students looking at each other's work, say if there's a conflict between when it's due and them looking at each other's work to get an edge. I can set their role as an author so they can only view their own work until an administrator, or if you wanted to have a student editor as well, publishes that content. The final step I'd like to explain is the appearance of the site. So one of the first things that people want to do is control how the site looks. With WordPress.com, you can go to the appearance and click on themes. And in the themes menu, you're going to see all the themes that are available for WordPress.com users. Now, some of them have a price tag on them, so you'll want to steer clear of those unless you really want to pay for them, which I don't recommend. But you can also sort by the free themes, and you can preview these themes before you actually apply them to the site. That covers setting up your WordPress page, getting the basics on there, posts, pages, changing the look and feel of the site. I'd like to walk you through a brief example of my own use of a WordPress course page. This is for History 250, an online course I teach at Michigan State. You can see here that we're at the About page. I also have a schedule page where the 7 weeks of the course are kind of a one-stop shop for the material for each week, what we're going to be doing, lecture videos, the materials, and instructions to the assignment. So the students all look at this page and are set with exactly what's expected of them. There's also detailed pages here under tasks about each of the different kinds of assignments we have. And then under videos, we have some instructions on using the WordPress site itself, because all the students are invited onto the WordPress site to use it. And then a link to the external wiki page, which is another kind of assignment that we use in the course. What's relevant about this example is that I've invited students onto the WordPress page to populate that page with their own content, and then to have the students look at each other's posts, generate conversation as I move through the course material together. A few details about how this works in practice. I have the students set up as contributors on the WordPress page so that they're able to submit their own text content. They don't have to worry about putting any media into their posts because they're just short writing assignments. And the contributors role also allows for me to prevent any copying. So the students aren't able to see each other's drafts until they're published, and they're all published at the same time. So that way, nobody looks at each other's material and nobody starts commenting until everyone has submitted their material. It's also a way for me to control, to actually have a deadline on the assignment. Now, if I wanted to give them a little bit more control, I could promote them to authors, and they could upload their own media and start to insert their own media into their posts. This all depends on what the goals are for your course itself, what kind of learning outcomes you're working with, and those roles can accommodate the different kinds of variabilities that you can have in a sort of editing model. So some students can be editors, looking at everyone's posts, leaving comments in the draft stage. They can be authors, where they only look at each other's published things, but can still upload media. They can be contributors, where it's fairly locked down and the only thing they're able to do is submit things and comment on each other's things. So this is just one model. If you start to explore the academic landscape, you'll see plenty of others in terms of how people are using WordPress, not only as course blogs, but for the other reasons I mentioned in the beginning. Good luck.